This is Cami Martinez with vlog 11 for Communications 45, and I read Rhetorical Act Chapter 9, Obstacles Arising from the Subject and Purpose. In all arguments, in all rhetoric, there's a subject and purpose that you're trying to achieve. There's a subject that you have and a purpose you're trying to achieve. And when you break it down, there's can be potentially problems with both, and they're both equally important problems that need to be addressed. First, you got problems with your subjects. So, problems with subjects are related to the complexity of the subject. So, the subject can be incredibly complex or foreign to an audience, with many moving parts that are hard to address without previous knowledge, which affects how the audience receives it a lot. And because it's so complex, the audience can misinterpret a lot of things on accident. Subject-related obstacles are also relating to complexity, are also how complex the audience perceives the subject to be. The subject may not actually be complex, but the audience has been led to believe the subject has been complex prior to it being introduced through your rhetoric, which affects how the audience receives the information. The audience can have no first-hand experience with whatever topic you're talking about. So, like a child, children are fairly accepting of things, but like someone who's worked through the arts their entire lives may not have the best grasp on complex math and physics because it is not relevant to their lives, and but that's more of a knowledge example, not really a rhetoric example, but it applies similarly. The audience may not just doesn't have the experience to understand what's going on. So that changes how it is taken in. There's also cultural and historical obstacles that rhetoric has to get through. These historical, cultural obstacles can be taboos, like not to be said words, or a lot of times, a lot of cultures have taboos around sex and different types of sex acts and like sexuality. These are important things and they inform a lot of humans' lives, but they are still taboo. So the audience kind of instinctually rejects it. So it has to be taken into consideration carefully when used, as well as the audience or the audience just finding the topic boredom. So that's just they just don't engage because they find it boring. And then there's conditioned responses like systemically held beliefs that haven't been addressed yet. And then your subject just goes against that, your audience's culture and cultural values, and you haven't really taken that into account yet. There's also purpose-related obstacles, such as the cost, whether the cost is time, money, effort, energy, if it's inconvenience, if it's a long-term commitment, if you need expertise, or there's social pressure. The audience may or may not engage because it is they have to give up something that they're not sure they'll receive in return. Like a lot of people don't have time or money or the energy in order to pursue further education to be able to access knowledge that some rhetoric and some arguments take just because they have to live their lives. And then another purpose-related obstacle would be control, or the feelings of control around the audience's relationship to the subject or the rhetor. So is the audience can they change that part of their life? Are they allowed to be an agent of change in their own life around that subject with the information you're giving them?